what changes can you expect when you go on either GAPS diet or the GAPS introduction diet? So the GAPS introduction diet is a lot more intense. It's going to be a lot more healing. It's going to be a lot faster, but it's going to make these changes kind of like a crazy roller coaster. So if you have a lot of like chronic health problems, you probably have a gut that needs more intense healing, and you're going to feel these changes more if you're on GAPS intro. So for that reason, I do personally recommend everyone does full GAPS, which includes fruits, it includes nuts, it includes eggs, cultured dairy, for a month before they try GAPS intro, to just sort of ease yourself onto intro instead of going boom from eating gluten, eating grains, eating all this stuff onto GAPS intro, which is a really intense healing diet. So anyways, what changes can you expect? Either one, you can expect digestive changes. And so that might come as like, oh, your body doesn't know quite what to do. Like you feel empty, like you're not full for the first couple days on the diet, was your body's adjusting. Your gut flora is craving all those carbs that you're not eating anymore. It's craving the wheat. It's craving like the food additives. It's craving lactose. It's craving lots of different stuff that now you just pulled away from it. So you can kind of expect a little riot from your, in the form of cravings from your gut. You also might become constipated, or you might get diarrhea once you are on GAPS. And that's just because your body's sort of figuring out what to do with this new intake. It might be more soft food than you're used to. You might actually be absorbing it for the first time, and your body's like kind of figuring out what to do. And also, as those bad bacteria that were causing all those cravings die off, they emit even more toxins. It's like a burst of toxins as they die. Then your body pushes them all out. So that could cause diarrhea, it could cause constipation. If you're having tummy issues, if you're having gas, bloating, that kind of thing, I use Digestive from doTERRA. There's a bunch of different essential oils that kind of have digestion properties. I think it's the fennel in it that's most healing, most beneficial. So we don't ingest this because on intro or on GAPS, we're really particular about what we're ingesting into our body, but you can use a little bit in a carrier oil. So I just use coconut oil. So put like a teaspoon of coconut oil in your hand, melt it, and then add a drop or two of Digestive, and then you can rub that over either your stomach or your children's stomach, and that can kind of help things move along. If you want to give them a little abdominal massage and see if you can get things to either calm down or move along, then that's something you can do as well. So that helps with the digestive changes. Another change that you're going to notice is your skin. And so if you've had skin issues in the past, like acne or eczema or something like that, you might notice an initial flare, and then you might notice absolutely beautiful skin. I did GAPS for my two boys. Well, as they were infants, I did it myself. I was nursing, and then I had them on GAPS for the foods that they were eating off the table, which is pretty much I just fed them off of my plate because they both had eczema. And I just noticed after 3 days, beautiful clear skin. And in myself, like, I feel like my skin's pretty good normally. I've never had cystic acne or anything, but I just noticed like the little bumps on the back of my arms, or the little dry patches on my cheeks. Even in dry Montana winters, my skin is just gorgeous on GAPS, but it might take you a second to get to that. So if it goes bad before it gets better, that's really common, and it's a change that you can expect. For those skin issues, if it's dry skin, like patchy, scaly, dry, flaky eczema skin, I really like this tallow balm from Vintage Tradition. It doesn't have any chemicals in it that are gonna go into your skin and bother you in the long run. Like some of the eczema creams, I like, and there's like fragrance added. Like, why are they doing that? No, don't do that. So Vintage Tallow Balm is the best thing I've found for really dry skin. I've heard that it works really well on eczema, and it's just a topical thing. So it's not healing from the inside out, but it's just helping you with comfort as your skin kind of calms down from all these changes that we're making in it. So the next change that you can expect is brain fog to lift. You might think you don't have brain fog, you might think you're not ADD, you might think you don't have anxiety, but once it lifts, oh, you feel like 20 tons lighter. You feel smarter, you feel quicker, you feel calmer. It's just like an amazing combination. But again, just like we just talked with the eczema and the skin stuff, sometimes it takes a second for that to lift. So our mental health, even people who, a lot of people do GAPS for depression or anxiety, or even bipolar disorder, or some of the more severe mood disorders. And I've heard amazing stories from people that have found that to help. But just let people know, if you have a therapist, let them know you're trying this. It might get worse before it gets better. I haven't, like for the skin, the digestion, I have heard quite a few stories of it getting worse before it gets better. For most people doing this for mental health, it does get better after 3 days. And after 3 days, you're gonna feel some even energy, not like the bursts of hyperactivity, but you'll feel even energy, you'll feel more clear in your head. And a lot of these problems that I didn't personally realize I had, but I'm like, wow, I'm just so much more organized once we started GAPS. And I thought it was because I was in the kitchen all the time or something. Nope, I went back off, but I kept my daughter on, and I was back to being like, just kind of disorganized, just kind of like forgetful and like, easily distracted. But once I was on GAPS, suddenly my pantry was organized again. It was like a magic. So that's the mental health is something that you can expect from GAPS. Brain fog lifting and stuff that you, even if you're not doing this for mental health, you might just know to be aware that some of these things could happen and they could help, and it's really a nice thing to notice. So the last change I wanted to talk about with GAPS is that you might notice your food intake is kind of all over the map. Like at first, you're eating pretty normal, like the amount of food you would expect. Couple of days later, oh, nothing sounds good and you don't want to eat anything. And then a few days later, you're absolutely starving and you think that scrambled eggs are the best food ever and you just want to eat like 6 scrambled eggs at a time. Or your 2-year-old that's like 30 pounds is suddenly eating 4 scrambled eggs per meal, having 4 or 5 meals a day. That's totally normal. For GAPS people, a lot of us, obviously we're doing this for a reason. If we had a chronic health issue, it's likely that our gut was not absorbing the food that it needed to. So once we've healed the gut, we're not craving foods that aren't good for us anymore, but our body's like, whoa, we've got all this amazing nutrition. That's something that's great. And so that's why our appetite is sort of all over the map. So I wouldn't do this for weight loss. I would just really kind of listen to your intuition. As long as your intuition isn't telling you to go eat junk food, ignore that one. And if your intuition is telling you like, wow, that was really good, I want more, or I want veggies, or I want more yolks in my broth, go ahead and just feed. If it's your kid, feed your kids. If it's yourself, go ahead and feed yourself. So the appetite going up and down, totally normal change to expect. So those are the changes that I just wanted to tell you about, that I notice most often. Just like, so if you get on it, you're like, this can't be right, this is really weird, I'm not sure if this is how it's supposed to go, probably is. So I just wanted to warn you about those, and I'm really glad that you're here and joining us on the GAPS journey.